In this video, we are going to go over the Ruotolo vs Jason Nolf match at CJI. And what's really exciting about this match is that we get to see a Jiu-Jitsu Prodigy versus a wrestling Prodigy. Most of the match took place standing, so we're only going to go over the highlights that really matter. At the 3:30 mark, we see Ty go for a deep single leg on Jason with his head on the inside. While Jason is trying to defend the single leg, Ty goes in the opposite direction that he was originally driving in, and he tries to isolate Jason's left arm above his elbow. The problem that Ty has in this frame is that Jason is already on his feet, so it's very easy for him to circle out and pull out his arm. Something that really surprised me during the stand-up game was that Jason was very comfortable with Ty getting inside collar ties. And in just a few seconds, you'll see why. Jason has this relaxed outside overhook that he uses as a setup for the foot sweep. The obvious part about this foot sweep is that he transfers his hand that's over the shoulder down to Ty's elbow area, and at the same time he trips Ty's front leg, which allows him to get the foot sweep. What's not so obvious about this foot sweep is the very subtle timing of it. If we only pay attention to Ty's left foot, you'll notice that his heel lifts up, which means his body weight is on his right foot. And as soon as the body weight starts transferring back to the rear foot, that means his leading foot is getting lighter, and Jason is already in motion for the foot sweep, which is why it looks so effortless. From here, we're going to skip to the 2-minute mark, where Jason goes for his own takedown attempt. When Ty tries to get both inside collar ties, Jason is able to push both of his elbows up, and he shoots for a double leg. And while the timing was really good, he does bring his head on the outside, and it's in a perfect position to get guillotined, which Ty starts going for. When they get to the mat, Ty has an arm-in guillotine from half guard, and it looks very tight, but Jason is doing his best to defend, and he's prioritizing having his left hand pushing on Ty's right knee, because he knows that if Ty is able to get close guard, he's going to be finished. We can see that Ty is trying to get that leg free, but Jason is staying disciplined by keeping it in between his legs, and he does a defense that is highly not recommended for the average hobbyist out there, but he gets to his feet from half guard and he starts just pulling his head out. To be fair to Jason, while this isn't the most technical way to get out of a guillotine, being able to get to your feet usually means that they're going to lose the angle for the guillotine, and from here he's able to pop out his head. And I don't really blame Jason because he has a lifetime full of wrestling experience, probably has a really strong neck, and this is for a chance to win $1 million. But for the average hobbyist out there who's just training, I would never recommend relying on neck strength to get out of a submission. There isn't much that happens for the rest of the round, so we're going to fast forward to the first minute of the second round. And in the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see more Jiu-Jitsu breakdowns in the future. Now in the second round, we see the same position that we saw earlier, except this time Ty is the one that tries to go for a foot sweep. Jason uses that to grab his own single leg and then slams Ty to the ground. Like we saw earlier in the first round, Ty tries to go for a guillotine while he's being taken down, except this time he makes a small adjustment, and instead of pulling half guard, he brings his right foot on the outside of Jason's leg. And he probably feels like this version of the guillotine would be more successful against Jason. But with the amount of force that Jason brings him down to the mat, Ty loses the guillotine, but he makes a good recovery by making sure that his hips are facing towards Jason, and he's making sure that he has inside control with his arms as well. That allows him to easily recover guard and get back into a standing position. Again, we're going to fast forward to the 1-minute 50-second mark, where this time we see Jason go for a double leg and Ty again attempts to get a guillotine on him. Ty ends up with a head and arm grip from turtle position, and he's actually able to flatten out Jason from here. Jason was able to time a beautiful double leg on Ty, and while Ty is going for the guillotine again, it looks like he's trying to bring him into half guard. But this time Jason makes an adjustment, and before Ty can get him into half guard, he jumps over Ty's legs and tries to settle into side control. While Jason is jumping over Ty's legs, Ty uses the momentum of the guillotine grip and Jason jumping over his legs to continue rolling his body to make sure that his hips are facing the mat. In a split second, he went from possibly getting his guard passed to having a head and arm grip and Jason in turtle position. Most jiu-jitsu athletes in Jason's position would try to find a way to get back into their guard, but because Jason has such a heavy wrestling base, he's much more comfortable in the turtle position, and instead of keeping his arms and elbows in inside position, he starts looking to grab Ty's right leg. But anytime you have your arm in between your opponent's legs from the turtle position, that leaves you vulnerable to the crucifix. When Jason tries to change position of his arm to get out of the crucifix, Ty uses his right leg to feed to his left leg and then crosses his legs to lock in the crucifix from the top position. From here, Ty initially tries to go for the crossface and he wants Jason facing to his left. That would give him opportunities to possibly go for a rear naked choke from the crucifix position. But Jason is being extremely stubborn and refuses to give Ty what he wants. Ty starts making adjustments, and instead of attacking Jason with his upper body, he starts inserting his right leg in between Jason's head and his left shoulder. Then he focuses on getting a rear naked choke grip on Jason's left shoulder. Jason knows that a submission is coming and he tries to stand up and stop Ty's legs from connecting, but Ty is able to connect his legs and get a reverse triangle. Jason does a desperation move and tries to launch Ty off of him, but with that rear naked choke grip that he has on his left shoulder, Ty is able to hang on to his grips. Ty then switches his upper body grips to start attacking Jason's legs, and once he's able to get underneath his ankle, Jason is forced onto his knees. Jason explodes to his right hand side. What Jason was probably trying to do is get more perpendicular to Ty, and that would give him a chance to be able to pry out his right arm. But Ty thinks very quick on his feet, and he's able to grab Jason's waist. This traps Jason into being in the position that they're currently in, and there's very little that Jason can do from here. While Ty does have the inverted triangle, you can see that his calf is not on Jason's carotid artery. While Jason is very uncomfortable in this position, he's not being choked right now. Ty realizes the situation that he's in, so he tries to adjust himself, and from here, I don't know if this was on the fly, but he grabs Jason's leg and tries to crank on his spine. Again, this is a very, very uncomfortable situation, but he's still not choking Jason right now. And because there are only a few seconds left on the clock, Ty goes for a Hail Mary ankle lock, but he runs out of time. Again, we're going to skip to the 2-minute mark of the third round so we can get straight to the action. In the clinch, Ty baits a foot sweep and Jason tries to grab his leg, and while his head is dipped, Ty tries to bring Jason's head down for a guillotine. When Ty lets go of the head, Jason postures up and Ty goes for a takedown by trying to trip him with his lead leg. Jason is able to take his right leg out, and Ty transitions into a single leg on Jason's left side. Now we're in a very similar situation that we were earlier in the match, where Ty has a single leg with his head on the inside, and Jason is defending. Ty tries the same move that he tried earlier by changing the angle and going back the other way, and trapping Jason's arm above the elbow. This time Jason isn't able to escape so easily because now he's on his knees compared to last time where he was on his feet. Before Ty can advance position from here, Jason does a great defense from here where he's able to bring his leg over Ty's hips, and now Ty is stuck in this position and he has to abandon the grip on Jason's arm. Ty goes back to the basics and pushes Jason's knee down so he can recover back into half guard. From here, Ty goes for a cheeky buggy choke from half guard, but it's simply not locked in tight enough and he has to abandon that as well. Jason is in a good position here because he's past the knee shield, but Ty is doing a really good job of making sure that Jason cannot reach his head. And then when Jason postures up, Ty is able to regain his knee shield again. After being in Ty's half guard for a little bit, Jason tries a different approach and starts standing, and that signals Ty to start inverting and getting under Jason. Ty's first grip when he inverts is making sure that he has Jason's left ankle trapped so he won't be able to pull his leg out of the position and exit. Then he focuses on getting his right arm under Jason's body, and he's able to grab Jason's right ankle. With both ankle grips and Ty's left leg in Jason's armpit area, he's able to push Jason completely over his hips. And whenever your opponent's hips are directly above your hips, that makes it much easier to maneuver their body. Now Ty is able to adjust his grip on his right hand to go from the ankle to around Jason's waist area on his right side. This is a crucial setup to catch Jason's right leg. From here, Ty uses a pendulum motion with his right leg, and he's able to swing Jason's leg over his body onto the other side. In one simultaneous motion, he lets go of the grip on his left hand and meets with his right arm, so he's able to isolate Jason's right leg. You can see now that Jason's leg is in between Ty's leg, and Ty is already going for a rear naked choke grip on Jason's right ankle. All he has to do is turn a little bit to his right side, and Jason's right leg is completely isolated. Ty has his hips in the perfect area for the knee bar, and he's able to pull the rear naked choke grip to complete the submission. This was an excellent display of really high level wrestling going against really high level jiu-jitsu. A very intriguing match for a lot of people, but it just goes to show that the leg lock game is something that you need to be aware of, and it's just as important as every other part of jiu-jitsu. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and I will see you in the next video.